Side by side, I can feel it, it burns like fire. Worlds collide, an unstable landscape, side by side, but that's what this mandates. Be it might, an unlikely allegiance, we will fight because that's the best defense. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Glorious death. Our goal, our mission is clear, as we ride against a dark empire. By my soul, may the last thing they hear be the roar of this raging fire. Listen, be the savagery mindset. Night and day, we'll let loose and find it. Brutal will define our reaction. Rip out the throat of each one in their fashion. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Fear not, my friend, for righteous the path. They shall remember glorious death. Glorious. The angels have fallen, my allies are beaten and broken down. I shed not a tear. After all, this is why we are here. A war we were not supposed to win. If I'm to die tonight, I'll kill every demon that stands in my spine. Go! You must shake me a fool. I stand on the skeletons of every goal. But if I'm to die, well, this very night, we'll kill every demon that stands in us. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Fear not, my friend, for righteous the path. They shall remember glorious death. Make them remember glorious death. Glorious
Here we go. We're going to go full screen, and it's Braxcast Live once again. We got Garfield's Bizarre Adventure telling me, unfortunately, Rip and Andrew are going to be streaming at the same exact time. So, makes sense that that is the case. since I believe there's closeouts of Ripazine 5 and other things. So I was going to keep this short because, you got your Saints and Sinners book and art book. I think my art book should be coming in tomorrow. I'm not sure if the UPS store will be open, so I might just get it on Monday and pick it up. We got some people coming into Velvet Room Publishing like Twitter, but I did get Saints and Sinners as well. You can see it right here. This is the Cross the Bear cover, which is really nice. I haven't read it yet since I was like getting ready for this live stream, and I was having my very light dinner today, some olives and peanuts. Nothing really crazy on that front. But anyways, I definitely think I want to read Saints and Sinners tonight, get the review done like today, like before I go to sleep. So I was planning on keeping this live stream shorter anyways, and that's really what's going to be the big talk in the Rippaverse is Saints and Sinners, since that began its fulfillment this week on the 23rd. I want to get my review out, while that's still going on. Let's see. I'm looking forward to reading yours tonight and my review. Appreciate that. I know you watch a lot of my reviews, Garfield. I did get some genuine comics reviews out. Power Trip 2 and Dream Girl. I was supposed to finish those in August, but man, I've fallen really off the horse with like all the stuff I want to do with Velvet Room Publishing. I did quit the second job I had on the weekends. So I'm gonna have more time to myself. It's just like I just couldn't do it anymore. It's just like working every day. I did it for I don't know, a little under a month. I did it for basically all September. And I was like, I just can't do it. It's just too much on me. And especially after this week. This has been a bit of a doozy of a week for me. And I was planning on doing it and for like one more weekend just to get some cash in. I was like, but I just don't want to do it anymore. I want to go hiking when people run errands. I want to just live life, not like just be working all the time. And I'm in a decent position where I don't need it. We got Ram in the chat. Of course, Mike has bad knees is in the chat as well. Love seeing the regulars come on by. You definitely make my life that let's say like you guys make my life worth living because I'm terminally online loser, the Joker, and I only live for this one live stream I do a week. No, but I like seeing you guys in the chat. I know you guys like the content, so we got this kind of parasocial relationship, but it's nice to have like the online like community. But of course, I've got the church community. I was with like some guys from my parish yesterday, and they were it was nice to be with them because I definitely needed it this week. I agree. I have no qualms putting in the hours, but I prefer my free time. It's like, yeah, I was like at that point where they wanted me to work more at the job because I wanted me to scheduled 14 hours, and I was working like 6 hours. Like I was like 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. And it was initially like 5, but then they truncated, like instead of closing at 7, we would close at 5. And they're like, you gotta work 14 hours, and they got me to like 13. And I was thinking like I'll do it for one weekend, and then I'm done. But this week coming up, I was like, I just don't want to do it anymore. And it's not like so much more money where, and I got like a better job anyway. I just like a job hop like so much. But anyway, got a better job getting in the process. Should be starting that next week. So I'll make a little bit more money anyways. And I don't have any debt. I'm in a decent position, but I definitely need to get my income up, decently so, like more so than this like raise that the new job's going to do for me. But you can always support Velvet Room Publishing. Get this off the ground. Like buy the books on. You do like the library post, so that way people can actually see my books, because there's just so much content there. So I want that like one place where you go on the Substack and like, hey, here's every like long form thing that I've written. And it shouldn't take me like more than 5 minutes to write out a post like that. I've just been so freaking lazy. Mike has bad knees is asking a Rippaverse related question instead of me just ranting on my life. Are we diving into Saints and Sinners today? It was the kind of the plan because I do have it. I haven't read it at all because I got it. I got off of work 4:30. I drove to the UPS store. That took me like 20 minutes or so. Pick up my package. I got home. I laid in bed for a little bit, and then I got my laundry started. And then it's basically had some time to chill out, and it was time to do this. So I haven't read it, but I just wanted to kind of check in with you guys. Of course, I scheduled this live stream, and it's going to be about Saints and Sinners. So the next like recorded episode of Braxcast is going to be Saints and Sinners. Also, be going to do the Dokumon card review probably next week. And then I think I'll do. Oh, actually, what I'll do is probably the Saints and Sinners concept art book next week because I'll have it by next week for next week's episode, and then the week after that I'll do the 5th set of Dokemon cards. So I'm gonna have the next 3 episodes of Braxcast where I'll have stuff to do, which will be pretty interesting. But of course, let's see. Read it last night. Got is what Mike has bad news is saying. Got my cover E with most of the characters on the train. Best cover for Saints and Sinners. Yeah, I do like that one. I was going through it because I think I got like 2 sets of Dokemon cards. So this Rippaverse giveaway I'm going to do once I get the Prime Evil. It's going to be a big one, guys, because I'm going to have so much stuff to give away. So you guys look out for that. It's going to probably happen sometime in the next year. But this, like I said, I think this is my favorite cover because, of course, it's the cross to bear. I like that motif, guys. Let's see. So Garfield still needs to read his last night. Really interested in seeing what Mahler and Az came up with as first-time writers. I'm really interested in Az's story because that's about Ingrid. I love Ingrid's character. So that's going to be an interesting one. We're going to get like a bit of an Alpha Core fix. Of course, it's not Alpha Core 2 because we still haven't gotten Alpha Core 2. Of course, we're getting Blood Roof 2 before Alpha Core 2, which is quite odd. But I mean, I'm not protesting it. I'm just like, Chuck Joe, we need Alpha Core 2. But hopefully that's the next campaign. We only got a couple more months in the year because it's about to be October. Next week's going to be October, guys. It's been a crazy year. But you say this like every freaking year. So Garfield still needs to read mine. Oh yeah, I already went through that. Of course, asking if Mike liked it. Sure, he did. So it's 6 stories within this collection. I thought I had ordered the cards, but they weren't in the box that came. I must have added it to a cart and then never checked out. Yeah, it happens. I mean, I would suggest checking the order that was fulfilled and just making sure because it could be like they forgot to pack it. I find they're pretty good about not forgetting stuff. It's happened to me, but if they did forget to give you the Dokemon cards, just put in a ticket and they'll get it to you within the week because they're really good with the customer service, of course, because they actually know what they're doing there and fulfilling stuff, which apparently is if you do that, then you can't. I don't know. I'm getting on. Speaking of Chuck Dixon, looks like he's being attacked now for saying Comicsgate needs to focus on the books and the drama. Good grief! Yeah, I saw some of that. I checked out of so much of following because Geeky Borders has taken place as Student of God. I haven't seen him in the chat. But Geeky Borders, I'll watch these clips occasionally from him, on my Twitter feed, and I will, see he's constantly spurting out about Eric July doing this and that, and of course he was going on about Chuck Dixon not being a legend or whatever, and it's just. I don't know. It's just sad at this point because Rainbow the Brute was supposed to be finished in August of last year, I think. Around the time I got Gooding. I got Gooding August 1st, and it was shipped to me in the end of July. And I had ordered it at mid-June because I was at Pork Fest last year when Gooding launched. It was the last day of spring, first day of summer, basically. And so they were kind of late on launching the pre-order campaign, basically. For collection. That's when they moved to the collection format, but they fulfilled it really quickly. It was a good book. Of course, I put my review out of Gooding, and people protested, especially Mike Park. Because the thing is, I've put out one review that Mike has liked, and it was my Dark Harvest review. It's the only review of mine that he's liked. All my other Rippaverse reviews, he finds them to be very problematic because I say, hey, I like the book. Here's why I like the book. And then, of course, me citing my reasons why I like the book is just, I might as well, it's blasphemy. It's just, I'm just so, I don't know. But anyways, most of you guys seem to like my reviews. It's not just the Rippaverse reviews because, I am a Rippaverse review guy. Of course, I do Braxcast, but I review tons of things. So yeah, Zay Comics, nice to see you in the chat. But Pork Fest is short for Porcupine Freedom Festival. And I've been to the last 3 Pork Fest. So I went to Pork Fest in 2023, 24, and I went this year. And when I went this year, this was me moving to New Hampshire. So I went up north 2 hours north of where I live now. Then I drove 2 hours to this inn in Stratford called the Independence Inn. I stayed there for like 2.5 weeks, and then I locked this apartment down. And I've been having a crazy ride ever since. And I met a lot of interesting people at Porkfest, not just like this year, but well, I guess especially this year. I met some pretty interesting people, or I met like one really interesting person. And apparently there are pictures of us like floating around on the net. I couldn't find them, but you might be able to. It would be funny if somebody did, but I wouldn't suggest like I don't know snooping around. Um, but who knows? I don't think it matters. But Mike thinks The Last Jedi is better than The Empire Strikes Back. I think it's insane, but he's entitled to his opinion. Shame he doesn't allow that for others. Yeah, I mean, The Empire Strikes Back is like probably it's such a good movie, man. It holds up. Like I remember watching it like a couple years ago, and just thinking like, man, this thing holds up so well. John Longbox, nice to see you in the chat. Asking me how the new place is. I've been in this here for a couple months. I mean, it's decently expensive because it's 1,500 a month, which I don't know. I wish it was cheaper. But it's a decent place. I mean, it's my first apartment. So it's a bit. I don't know. It's an old building, so like some of it's a bit run down, but I like it. I'm living here. I'm surviving. Not only am I surviving, I'm mostly thriving. And I live like right in the city, so most stuff's pretty close to me. Like my gym is a couple-minute drive from me. The job that I have is going to be like 20 minutes or so. But actually both jobs. And like I think yeah, the new job is just down the road from what it will next week be the old job, even though I got it like 3 weeks ago, man. But yeah, it is my first apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, so which I like because both the bedrooms are decently sized. So I've got my bedroom that I sleep in, and I don't have like any computers or anything like that. Um, I've got this room that I'm in right now. This is my office space. So I've got the table behind me is where I film all my videos, and I love it. I finish filming the video, and I just scroll over, and then I can get it uploaded onto the computer, edit it, and get it out to you guys. So it makes making Braxcast, it makes doing reviews a lot easier than my old setup where like I filmed in my mom's basement and then I went up to my room. And then like I might, talk to my parents a bit because I'm not that antisocial where, if my parents want to talk to me for a bit, then I would. And I get maybe stuck in conversation like 20, 30 minutes or so. It just doesn't happen anymore because I live by myself, no roommates, which is nice. Kitchen's a nice size. And then I have this really small living room. I've got like just enough room for like a couch, like a chair, a sofa chair, the ottoman, the TV, and just like enough stuff to set up my consoles. So it's like that's the only thing that I'm like, I wish my living room was just a tiny bit bigger. Um, but other than that, I think I'm pretty good. And yeah, no, it's a nice first place. And I talked about this before, like when I first moved in. So if you guys like, I know I've got some regulars. If you guys are like, why is Joker talking about his apartment all the time? John asked me, and I've been on John's channel. I've actually visited John's place. I did a video with John, and I wanted to do it because I used to live on Long Island, which is where John lives, right? And I was like, well, before I move, I want to like do a video where I like actually visit his, collection, or actually visit him and go through his collection, which was a really cool video for me to do. I'm glad that I was able to do it. And I'm glad that you're doing well. And I'm really excited for Heroic Tales #2. So I backed that. I got that. So I should be getting it. I don't know, whenever you start shipping it out. Yes, I did see your comic book room. And I am glad that, you did do the interview with Captain Cummings and Chuck Dixon. I know you did the one with Chuck Dixon, and that's where Chuck Dixon was talking about Comicsgate. And to me, Comicsgate is just such a dead movement because it's not about the comics anymore. It's about this cultural, I don't know, it's like this dramatic movement where comics are kind of involved. And there were people like this happened pretty early on in this, like, I like this schism, however you say that word, that happened between the Rippaverse and Comicsgate, where EVS was talking about your boy Zach. And like Zach is one of the first people, like when I was getting into Comicsgate back before like the Rippaverse even launched. I was just getting into like the comic book culture. Like I found Zach and I started backing his book, so I know who he is, and of course he's gone in his own like crash out. And that is let's see. Yeah, CG is 6 or so comic book creators with smaller and smaller fan bases. So they've got their dedicated audiences that are willing to deal with the long turnaround times, that like the drama, that like the, Edwin Boyack calls them YouTube addicts. And I think that's an accurate characterization. Unfortunately, I mean, if that's what you enjoy, sure, but I like reading the comics. Well, I mean, one, I can't. But like I like the Rippaverse. I like making the Rippaverse content because there's actual stuff to cover, right? Because like I just like I said, we're just talking about saints and sinners, and I haven't read this yet, so I can't. And I even if I did, I wouldn't want to go into the spoiler territory since it's just fulfilling this week. But like Rippazine 5 is closing out. There's like a concept art book. We've got a whole deck of Dokemon cards. So like basically every week I've got something to talk about on Braxcast. I got something to live stream about with you guys, and then you guys tell me like, oh, let's talk about these two characters facing off. Let's talk. And this is the observation that when you and I, John, were talking is like, the guys of the Rippaverse, like we're talking about like what our favorite book series is. We're talking about if two characters get in a face off, who would win? Because we talk about like Zalen is pretty well established as being the strongest character. We've got our reasons why. We're going to have more reasons why as his story develops. And hopefully we do get more Zalen. Because I know Joe, I mean, Joe's really busy because we need that Alpha Core first. Let's see, you sure did, John. I saw some guy attacking you as a quote ripetard, even though you are critical of Isom. Just not hating Eric July makes you an enemy of Comicsgate now. Yeah, no, John never liked Isom, which is okay. I mean, he says like the names Isom and Yaira don't make any sense. Which I think that's his opinion, and he's never been malicious with it. So, and I think anybody who thinks that he is like, I don't know, I can understand people being defensive. If you're a fan of the Rippaverse, you have to deal with all this pushback. It comes from like CG and all these other people. Because the Rippaverse has been heavily criticized since its inception. First by the leftists that thought the book wasn't going to come out because Eric July is just this token conservative, and now it's CG. Because there's a lot of reasons, but I mean, I don't like talking about the drama so much, but I'm just getting into this tangent because John did that live stream and talking about it. But yeah, I mean, let's see, we'll say yes, and you guys try to win me over with the love and passion for the comics, while CG guys attack me for mild criticism. That's all the proof that I need. Yeah, I like I said, I met you in person, John. You're a good guy. I don't have anything against you, so. Oh yeah, no problem, John. In fact, if you want to come on and just talk to me, I'm perfectly okay with that as well. I'll actually DM you the link. So let's see. I've sent you the link on the good old Twitter because I don't want to share the links in public anymore. In case one of these trolls try to come in. I doubt that would be the case. But it's a possibility. Sure, not hit me anytime you want. Okay. But yeah, if you're ever like in the chat and you just say, "Hey, Joker, I want to come on," I'll DM you the link. So it's okay that if you're busy or whatever. Let's see exactly. It's perfectly fine to have disagreements with comic books. I like John because he's authentic about his opinions, even if I disagree with him about Isaac. Yeah, and that's the thing is that John's actually making comics. He got Heroic Tales out. Number one, he had the car accident or he had the broken neck, very unfortunately, but it seems like he's recovering, which is good. Let's see. Yeah, about to eat dinner before. Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. You got stuff to do. But yeah, if you ever have like I do this Friday at 7 p.m. That's my time slot. And with the new job being 9 to 5, the 7 p.m. slot is going to work well for me. But yeah, no, that's the thing is that John, is very knowledgeable of the medium, has a massive collection. He's got a lot of passion about Heroic Tales, which I love. And I really liked Heroic Tales because of that passion that came through. And I'm really excited for number 2. I'm really excited for more stuff from Longbox Comics, especially if you keep working with Renzo because he's a good artist. So I just want, I want to read more of what you got to write. And I want to see more of what Renzo has to draw based off your scripts. And that's really, it's really all you can, ask for. from any indie comic scene or any comic scene in general. I got like a few Battle Piece number 5. I got so many freaking things, but I'm trying to be the indie comic review guy. So I'm going to get, and one thing I have to review is Phenomenova. So Phenomenova 1 through 3, I think I should get that in like December or so. So I'll be reviewing Von Coleman's stuff, and people have said very good things about Phenomenova. So that's one thing that I definitely have to review if I want to like be solidly in that indie scene. But there are a lot of comics out there from the indie scene, so it's hard to choose them all. But I just love doing the reviews, and people seem to like them. For the most part, people seem to like them. I think I probably said this before, but when I reviewed Vampire Killers, Mugen Lord actually was like he was really appreciative, and two, he's like, well, I watched your reviews, so I was surprised when I saw this one. I'm like, wow, man. which is really cool. That there are people who like consistently watch the reviews. So it's one of the things that like keeps me really invested in doing all this content, is that it's a small audience. You guys aren't really big in terms of like, I don't have like thousands and thousands of subs. That would be cool, because then I could really monetize it, and maybe God willing, I'll get there one day. And I'll be able to like not only just make reviews, but do all sorts of fun videos. And actually, make enough money each month to help pay the utility bill. But for now, this is just something I do for fun on my off time while I'm working a regular 9 to 5, which honestly I am okay with, because it's just not something I'm doing to like try and make money. Of course, making money is nice. You can do fantastic things with money, but the love of money is the root of all evil. You find that people who just do this for the money, like content creation, like now you're either making like the AI slop, and you're just spewing it out onto the internet, or you're doing trash casting, where you're just denigrating people, because that makes people angry. When people are angry, they're emotional. When they're emotional, they're more likely to give you super chats, which again, that's some people's way of doing it. That's not what I want to do. Like I said, I just want to talk about the comics on Velvet Room Publishing. I also want to do, my own writing. I've written 3 books so far. One of them is completely free. It's the nonfiction book on gender ideology. That one drove me insane to write. And I think I still like my whole meme when I was writing that book is like, I'm trying to figure out if women have penises. I asked my mom if she had a penis, and she said no. How would I have been able to give birth to you? And then I responded, Mom, that makes you a biological essentialist. To imply that having a penis means you can't give birth. And I was locked in the mental asylum that very soon. But yeah, that's the whole thing. That was such a doozy for me to write. And of course, the next one I'm writing, I need to jump back on it, and that's one that I want to do. Let's see. So yeah. Oh, Michael just backed your book. I think Michael did beforehand. If I'm not mistaken, he might have backed it again. Anyways, yeah. I'm doing a trash cast stream after this. Mike has bad news. Oh, don't make it about me. I mean, you can make it about me. There's plenty of stuff to trash cast about me on. But yeah, I think apparently I was mentioned, or at least Braxcast was mentioned on Trash Cast, and I have a feeling that at some point he's going to run out of content of Eric July. There's going to be one night, and he's going to pull up my streams or my videos, and he's just going to make fun of me. I can't wait for the day, because it'll just be so funny to respond to it, or not, and just be like, "Hey, man, I got the free advertising," and it's like, "I'm your biggest fan, EVS. I can't wait to read Rainbow the Brute sometime in the next decade." And that would be optimistic, man, because like I'm 27 right now. Maybe by the time I turn 40, I'll have Rainbow the Brute and Cyberfrog free. Although I'm skeptical with like how slow he is at making stuff. Which again, it's going to be the greatest comic book ever made. So it'll be worth the wait, man. I'll be on my deathbed and I'll get Rainbow the Brute hand delivered to me, and it'll be the greatest thing I ever read. Last thing I ever see is a panel of Rainbow the Brute, and I'll die happy. You should thank me for getting him the next few weeks of super chats. Yes. Apparently, I have been mentioned as well. Apparently, I'm a stalker and creep to CG. The irony. Yeah. I don't know. I don't necessarily. I mean, I guess at this point, like, I've made my opinion clear on Comicsgate. whatever. But I don't want to be like, stoking the flames or whatever. But I mean, these people are just going to, be belligerent no matter what I do at this point. So it's like, hey, I'm going to make some lighthearted jokes, and I don't want to like, mention any names. So like I said, with Saints and Sinners, it is in fact something I haven't read yet. I do have. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but I couldn't think of anything else to title this live stream. So that's what's like Saints and Sinners is here. And of course, Saints and Sinners is what made over $500,000, which again, if you're going to run, let's see, Saints and Sinners, add the stage, man. Look at that, $515,000, 13,000 books sold. Really successful in terms of independent comics. Of course, if you're talking about like big stuff and breaking out into the absolute mainstream, sure. I mean, you can make that argument. And again, not every Rippaverse collection has made that much money. Of course, Ripazine number 5, I believe, is and it's closing in 4 hours, and it'll have made $63,000, which again, the earlier issues have made more money, but it's hard to make like those big dollar amounts when most people are just buying either that like $8 book, or a lot of people are members and they're just cashing on, like, let's say you put in your Horseman 2 order and you just cash in your free Ripazine 5, and it's like, well, I just want to read the story, and you don't need to necessarily back this project in and of itself. With no CGCs as well, just pure books. Actually, there are CGCs for this book, as you can see. There's the sign engraved, and I actually did get the I go by backer numbers. Are the backers going up? You see, here's the thing. It just goes total books sold and then $63,000 or the number. So it's just books sold and then the numbers. The campaigns, the 4 campaigns, the first 2 issues of Isom, the Ira 1 and Alpha Core 1 had, all that information publicly available. Let's see. Oh, yes, no CGCs as well. Oh, you're just talking about Saints and Sinners not having. Yeah. The fact that it didn't have any CGC and it still made that much money is pretty. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Although the CGCs, it's not as many people buying those. And I think I remember seeing one person on the member forum talking about like, well, Rippaverse is declining because the sales are going down. I feel like most people are buying like all the covers of every book, and it's not something most people do. Most people do not get every cover of every book. Of course, people do that. And people don't just do that with the Rippaverse. That's one thing I saw with Bloodroof 2. People were being made fun of for collecting all the Bloodroof covers. And it's like, well, I have my issue. I mean, I don't need to get it, but like you read Battle Beast and you turn the back and it says collect every cover. And that's a very typical thing with comics, is to buy, for the hardcore collectors, is to buy every cover. Of course, it's cheaper for something like Battle Beast because, each one's going to be like $4 or so. But if that's being released every month, it's going to add up. And I think I bought 2 of like the 3rd issue or something like that, or maybe it was the 4th issue. I can't remember, because I liked one of the covers, and I was like, hey, maybe I'll get it graded, but probably not. It's a cool thing to have. Billy Ticci's the only CG guy, and he's Barrow CG, who gets higher backer numbers than Rippa. Yeah. But the thing with the Rippaverse that, in terms of its success, is that it can very consistently hit those 5-figure numbers and those 6-figure numbers in the collections. And then also, John, you have to remember, we have this, well, not we, there is this storefront right here. And everything people buy off of the storefront does not get included in those collection numbers that you see. And if you look at Edwin Boyette, the Rippaverse has made like over $3 million in like 2025. It's a lot of money that they've made just off of the collections. So again, this is a multi-million-dollar company consistently. So like the overhead that the Rippaverse has is justified, and it's not going to put them in the red. Again, you've got people hemming and hawing and insisting that the Rippaverse is going to go bankrupt in the next 2 seconds. It's like people like going on and on about global warming. Like, oh yeah, by the year 2000, there's going to be no snow on Mount Everest or whatever Al Gore was yapping about, and it just doesn't materialize. Of course, there are issues with environmentalism, but I think we're in this like general like warming period, and I think a lot of it's, of course, just hype. Just to sensationalize people. And of course, if you can convince people, I'm 27, so if you can convince people my age that the planet's on fire, our house is on fire, quote Greta Thunberg, then people aren't going to want to have kids, and it's going to lead to destruction of the family, almost like it's a psychological operation to destroy the fertility rate. But anyways, that's the whole thing. Now, I'm glad you think that is a good point. But yeah, so it's a big thing with Urban First is one, the consistency, and then two, you've got the evergreen sales in the store, which we don't have the numbers of. I would love if they were transparent with those numbers, but of course they're a private company. They have every right to withhold those numbers. So and I think they probably have their reasons to do that. Let's see. So the campaign windows are shorter now, and with fast release schedules, I sometimes buy books after the pre-order ads, which is what plenty of people do. And you can always get those mass print covers like Garfield. You might not, you're not me, and I'm like someone who prioritizes getting the books as soon as possible, having every cover so I can review the books on Braxcast. But you're just probably a much more casual reader. It's like, hey, I'll buy it when I get around to it. And then you buy one cover off the store, like they're still making money. You're still a fan. It's still good readership. And again, I'm not sure if it's like half of the sales come from the store, but I don't think it's statistically insignificant. That's what Mike was saying with like Horseman being a failure. It's like, oh, and I was saying like, well, it sells after the collection period ends in the store. It's like, well, most people just buy it at the pre-order because it's direct to consumer, and you're a fool if you think that the store sales mean anything. I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just talking to a brick wall with him. Like I can't ever. Again, he's very consistently of the opinion that the Rippaverse is fraudulent. It's incompetent and fraudulent at the same time. It's like, well, why give your money to these people if you think they're so bad and evil? And like, why put so much time? But I think part of it is like you get that attention. And of course, I make the content. Like I know person makes content being like, I want nobody to watch my videos. I want no one to engage with me. Of course, I like getting comments. I like getting likes. I like getting views, but I don't want to like debase myself. I don't want to denigrate others to do that. I want to make positive, uplifting content about comic books and various other things. And I think that's the thing that's, it's comforting to my soul. It lets me sleep at night, even though I've never really had that many issues with sleeping at night. And it's not it's just not the way I want to go, where I'm just constantly complaining. And again, it's not a good Christian ethic to, be mean and rude and belligerent to people. But of course, we live in this very fallen world, this fallen society where and no one wants to live up to that standard. They want to say the standard's here. I'm living up to it, and I don't know. I'm going to go on a rant, not about the Roman Empire. If Rippaverse ever released a book set in the Roman Empire, Joker would be in heaven. Probably, I would be. That'd be so cool, man. If there was a Rippaverse book in the Roman Empire, it would be really cool if I got a contact from like Andrew saying, "Hey, Joker, write a Rippaverse book set in the Roman Empire," right? I would do it during Marcus Aurelian's reign. It'd be during the Macromotic Wars, and then you'd have an except, an ancient except, like from like Valadon's tribe, attacking Marcus Aurelius, and Marcus Aurelius would just barely win because he's that much of a boss. And then he would write meditations, and then he would die, and his worthless son Commodus would take over and would eventually lead to the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476. And that's my pitch for the Rippaverse Roman Empire story. I think that'd be pretty cool. It hit me up, Andrew, or any Rippaverse staff that's watching this, and I would bang out a script for that in like a freaking heartbeat if he just gave me access to that universe Bible. And I would want to do it after reading Norfolk number 1. But anyways, it's probably what I would do. Something like that, just off the top of my head, because I've read Meditations. I recommend everybody in this chat get a copy of Meditations and read it. Of course, Stoic philosophy is not necessarily the most compatible with Orthodox philosophy, but I think a lot of what Marcus has to say is very, very edifying and very good for your, like, especially if you're a man and you want a whole frame as a man. Like, that's what Marcus knew how to do. And I would 100% recommend reading Meditations. It's a good book, and you don't necessarily need to read it in any order. You can just read the like random phrases, and you'll have like it's a very edifying book. And again, it's one that I really liked when I read. Let's see. Yes, that sounds pretty cool. Imagine an emperor as an except that'd be cool. Let's see. I want to do a story set in Roman Britain where they were building a wall to make a magic circle and keep the monsters trapped in Scotland. Yeah, so this Hadrian's Wall. So actually, there are actually two wall. Okay, I'm gonna catch myself. We're talking about the Roman Empire. We're talking about the Roman Empire again. I'm so falling into this meme, but there were two walls, man. There was Hadrian's Wall to the south, and then there was one slightly north because they're trying to conquer Scotland, but they could only get control of Britain and Wales. Couldn't get control of Ireland. Of course, Boudicca or Boudicca, however you say your name, she was a martyr to the Romans. That's her story. And of course, Julius Caesar visited Britain. He discovered apple cider there. But it wasn't a couple of generations. It was after Augustus. I can never remember the emperor who conquered Britain, but it happened sometime in like the early first century, maybe like slightly after Christ's time, because Christ died in 33, and I'm thinking this happened like 60, 70 AD or so. What's the difference between Southern Scotsman and Northern Englishman? It's Hadrian's Wall. The funniest thing about Hadrian's Wall is that there's genital etchings. So in Hadrian's Wall, so like there are two like Roman legionnaires guarding Hadrian's Wall, and one goes to the other. It's like, hey, let me carve male genitalia into Hadrian's Wall because we're bored, and that would be funny. We have not changed that much of a species, and I absolutely love it. That's the thing is that like when you see like ancient graffiti of like Roman, like Hellenistic tourists in Egypt and like etching things on like the hieroglyphs and stuff like that, like we haven't changed that much as a species, which honestly is a bit comforting because I think like there's this consistency with humanity. So YA, the two walls were supposed to be a circle to keep something contained. Yeah, that would be a cool thing. If there was like magical beasts or something like that, or like like these really weird witches or something like that have like all these weird pagan rituals. That would be cool. Although the Romans at that time themselves were pagan, John. So a cool thing you could do is set it. I mean, but those walls were built in like first century because Rome didn't stop being pagan. They didn't abandon their ancient religion until after the Edict of Milan passed by Constantine the Great, who, God willing, will be my patron saint because he is a saint in the Orthodox Church, not the Catholic Church, which really confuses me. It's the Roman Catholic Church, and arguably the greatest Roman emperor for Christians is, the one who legalized Christianity, who convened the Council of Nicaea, who made Christianity the state religion of Rome, basically, or at least set the stage. I think of his Theodorus or not Theophilus. I can't remember. It starts with a TH. But anyway, he set the foundation. Was it Claudius? I'm not sure of Claudius. But anyways, that's why I deeply admire Constantine. That's why I want him to be my patron saint, because I'm going to become a catechumen in a Rocor parish this Sunday, because I've been going for like 2 or so months now. So yeah, that's my journey. And then on Sunday, I'm gonna my little post on catechism. I'm gonna stop talking about. I haven't talked too much about theology, but I'm gonna stop doing that. Constantine just legalized Christianity, but he didn't make it the state religion. Yes, I was getting, but like I said, he laid the groundwork for Christianity to become the state religion of Rome. It's without the Edict of Milan, without the Council of Nicaea, you would not have had that happen. But yes, I was mistaken about that. But he did a lot of good for Christians, especially with the Edict of Milan, because that legalized Christianity. And Christianity was, of course, it was spread. I mean, this is God becoming man and then building his church and then telling the church, well, Peter and the rest of the apostles, that the gates of hell, gates of Hades, would not prevail against the church. And that's the promise. That's the reason why I'm becoming Orthodox, is because when you look into, if you take Christianity seriously as a religion, you have to accept that God became man, built a church, and then promised he wouldn't abandon it. So there has to be a physical, visible institution that exists today that existed back then, and that's the Orthodox Church, the Eastern Orthodox Church. Of course, it's still in a fallen world, so it's not perfect. So there's issues with the Orthodox Church. There's a lot of like political issues, especially in the states, these jurisdictions. There should be one. I said this on a Twitter post. There should be one autocephalous church in America, but the reason why that doesn't happen is because the OCA, the ROCOR, the GoArch, all these different jurisdictions with these Orthodox like jurisdictions that can select like in Serbia and Russia and Greece. They can't agree with each other on like every fine detail, so they have their own separate jurisdiction. So it makes it harder for people to become Orthodox, which is the biggest issue with like the Ortho Bro community. The online Ortho community is very passionate about saying there's this big conversion to Orthodoxy happening, and I think it certainly is like not uncompletely the case, but it's not as exaggerated. I think it's a bit exaggerated, and I think one of the issues that gets people from converting to Orthodoxy is like, well, how do I become Orthodox? It's like, do I join the ROCOR? Do I join Gorge? Do I go with the Serbians? Do I go with the Romanians? And it just confuses people. I'm Protestant and non-denominational, but I like learning about all the different sects. Yeah, I would recommend Mike Had Bad Knees reading the book Rock and Sand by Father Josiah Trenum. He runs Patristic Nectar Publications. He's been very, very helpful to me on my inquiry path. And it was one of the reasons why I'm becoming an Orthodox catechumen. But that book is an appraisal from an Orthodox perspective on Protestantism, and it goes through basically all the Protestant traditions, starting with Martin Luther, Ulrich Zwingli, John Calvin, and then it goes into the history of Protestantism in America, like American evangelicalism, and it's a really good read. So I would recommend reading that book if you're curious about the Orthodox position on Protestantism, or if you just want to learn more about Protestantism in general, because it does go over like the history of these reformers in general. It's a pretty good one. It's called Rock and Sand. You can buy it on Amazon. 100% recommend that book. It's a really fantastic read. So that's one I would 100% recommend you reading is Rock and Sand if you want to just learn more. And I think if you want to read, I haven't read this one yet, but people recommend I have. It's called The Orthodox Way by Timothy Ware. He died about like 13 years or so ago, and rather unfortunately, he was in his 80s or so. But he was an Anglican, and then he converted Orthodoxy. He was a bishop. Let's see. If I were to go Orthodox, it would be Ethiopian because, black. Yeah, I mean, that's the Oriental Orthodox Church. And the Oriental Orthodox Church in like outside of like where they specifically exist is one, hard to get into. And then two, the Council of Chalcedon is where the Orientals break off. So that's like I think the Syrian Church of the East was over Ephesus. That was the Nestorian issue. But for the most part, like it was Chalcedon, where the Orientals broke off from the one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, which at the time included the Roman See, which would later become the modern Papal Church, which we're all very concerned about if we're not Catholic. I mean, especially what's going on these days. But anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like church history. So, but I've studied this so much. It's one that really got so into this. But the biggest thing is it's Council of Chalcedon, and this is an issue called Miaphysitism, or the Orthodox position is that Christ is one person with two natures. He has a human nature, he has a divine nature that exists in this one divine person. That is, of course, being the Word who becomes incarnate, and his humanity is added to that by Mary, which is why she's the Mother of God. It's what makes her such a venerable figure in Christianity, is because she willingly became the Mother of God, and through her Christ came, and that is how we are all redeemed. Which is why Mary is one very respected, and two, like intercessing, praying for her intercession, praying that she will ask her son to save you is so powerful. It's what makes her such a good example, not only for women, but for men, because she was a real human mother, or I would say she is a real human mother to a divine person. And it's a very special thing because, the relationship that you have with your mother is very important. That's what Christ has with the Theotokos. And again, but anyways, this is all to say that the issue that the historian had was that Christ's divine nature and his human nature were two separate. So to call Mary the mother of God was wrong in his eyes. He referred to her as Christotokos, the mother of Christ, and being, God was something else. But no, in order for Christ to redeem human nature, he had to assume humanity into his divine, person. But what the Oriental Orthodox, and this is what the Ethiopians hold to, I believe, is that there is this one divine human nature that exists in the person of Christ, and this is a metaphysical thing for me. Where if this divine nature is uncreated, then his humanity has always existed. Mary did nothing, and he did not take on human nature to redeem it. Um, Whereas if it's created, then you become an Arian, where you think Jesus is basically it become a polytheist, where God created his nature at some point after the beginning of time, which conflicts with John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, of course. And that's John, saying very definitively that Christ existed as long as the Father has existed. So you can't say that his divine nature was created if there's this one divine human nature. So it's a metaphysical thing for me with why I didn't become Oriental Orthodox, and that's the biggest thing. And then, of course, like secondarily, is the fact that it's really hard to find parishes because it's just not as they're not as good as evangelizing outside of their specific commentaries. But anyways, that's my whole rant there. Should be talking about comic books. Yeah, but this is all to say, pick up daughter in sinners, or saints and sinners, is what you meant. But yeah, I really want to, like I said, I want to read Saints and Sinners because I have it, and then I want to get the review out. But I've been live streaming for like just under an hour, and I've been barely talking about Saints and Sinners. Talked about CG, talked about the Roman Empire, talked about Christianity. Hopefully, you found that edifying, Mike, on my little explanation. But yes, I wouldn't join the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. I wouldn't join any church just because of like an ethnic thing. Because if I were to do that, I would join the Lutheran Church because I'm German. But this to me was taking a very critical look at Christianity, what Christianity actually means. Because, of course, being raised in America, you hear about Christianity all the time, about Jesus all the time, and people reading the Bible and saying this, that, and the third about religion. And it's like, well, I tuned most of it out. I was an atheist for most of my life, and now I've come to faith. And it's like, well, what does it mean to have faith? What does it mean to be a Christian? What does it mean to follow Jesus? And going through that very critically was what pushed me to orthodoxy. And that's what I'm going to be, becoming a catechumen this Sunday, and then, God willing, and then through the process, I'll have my catechesis, and then I'll get baptized, and I'll start receiving communion, and then I don't know. If I don't get married, I think this is very likely. Weird autocorrect for the Saints and Sinners. But yeah, if I don't get married by the time I'm 40, I'm 27 now, so I'll give myself 13 years to find a wife. If I don't, then I'm going to seriously consider the monastic life. Might become a monk, guys. Because I don't think there's anyone out there for me. Although I think I'm at a very emotional state right now, so I don't want to say anything definitive about my love life or definitely lack thereof in terms of love life. But anyways, yeah, Saints and Sinners, going to be a cool book, I'm sure. Collection of 6 stories. We've got Ripazine number 5. That was Omnibus Collections closing out, which is going to be fun. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on with the Rippaverse. Of course, we got the 5th set of Dokumon cards, which is going to cover all the Saints and Sinners characters, most likely. So Braxcast is going to be very Saints and Sinners focused for the next couple of weeks. Yes. Become a D&D monk and fight orcs barehanded. That would be cool. But no, let's see. I would never choose religion based on race. I was joking. Okay. Yeah, it's hard for me. Well, it's impossible for me to retone in text. But yeah, no, monasticism is like a real serious commitment, John. So I'm not even sure if I would do that. And of course, being a joke, hey, I haven't played D&D, but now I've got weekends on Sunday nights. I might join up because there's a local group of people that play D&D, and I could join in with them. And I could start playing Dungeons and Dragons if I wanted to. But it's never 100% been my thing. But I'm not like against it. I'd love to do stuff like that. I remember doing it online like in 22 a bit, but I could never really get that into it because the time that they did it was too late for me. I was working nights. I was working first shift. They would do it like 8, and I'd basically be asleep. And I was like passing out while they were doing it, and then eventually the DM just kind of abandoned the game, and I never got into it after that. But anyways, yeah, no, maybe yeah, D&D monk. Maybe I would if I play a game of D&D, I would do a monk character. It'd be pretty cool. But yeah, no, a warrior monk is like really antithetical to the like traditional idea of monasticism. Um, so it's not. I think yeah, that's very much like a sensationalized thing in fantasy. But anyways, that is like yeah, that's my I guess my little update. But yeah, if you guys are interested, I'll probably definitely planning on writing a article about like my once I know for sure that I'm a catechumen. I'm gonna do a little update. But yes, Templars are back in Rome. I saw that, so I don't know what this Pope is doing, man, because he takes the name Leo the 14th, which is a traditional name, because Francis was the first name. First there's the first Francis, just Pope Francis, and he was traditional in some things, but he was a very liberal guy. Of course, the Roman Church, from the Orthodox perspective, has been in heresy for 10 centuries. So Francis was just more fuel to the fire, unfortunately. He is an American pope. He was born in Chicago, I think. But anyways, that doesn't really matter. So he takes his traditional name. He was wearing the Mazzata, like the traditional papal garb, when he was, I don't know, when he was elected as the Pope by the Cardinalate. And he has like this gay pride event at the Vatican where they have like the rainbow cross being paraded through. And then now he's having the Templars back in. So he's trying to play both sides. And it's, I don't know, man, it's not going to work. And for me, it's so funny because he's talking about like, well, at the time, I don't see my stance on the church's stance on homosexuality or women being clergy changing. Like at the moment, again, this is the faith once delivered to the saints that's being preserved by the infallible charism of the Pope. You should know what the teaching is, and it shouldn't like change with the times. The church is supposed to be the rock that people anchor themselves to. But yeah, Rainbow Cross is a big oof, and that is the thing. I struggled a lot. Yeah, maybe he's gonna have the Templars fight the Pride people. That would be hilarious. I don't think it's gonna happen in the Vatican. But the thing is, I struggled a lot with should I become Catholic? And there are some compelling arguments that Catholics make. But to me, and this is the whole thing, is that the Roman Catholicism falls apart with their position on the papacy. So Vatican I was this is the 20th ecumenical council in the Catholic Church. It's been 21. The Orthodox hold to basically 9, even though the last 2 aren't as important as the first 7. And the first 7 are the same between the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church. But anyways, the 20th ecumenical council for the Catholics is Vatican I, and Vatican I defines the papal infallibility, absolute papal supremacy. And it's just not the position that the church had in the first 1,000 years. So the Roman See was not viewed the way that it is viewed today by Catholics. That's the important thing. And like I said, the papacy is what the modern papal church is built on. And if that wasn't historically the way it was in the first 1,000 years, then it just doesn't make sense to be Catholic if you want to be part of the church that Christ built. And that's my perspective, and that's why I'm not Catholic. That's the biggest thing. There are other reasons for it, because there's a lot of issues with Catholicism. But of course, there's a lot of people who are Catholic with a very beautiful faith, who are very well catechized, who are very knowledgeable on scripture, on tradition, on iconography. So I don't want to like badmouth or poo-poo Catholics. All of them. Of course, you've got belligerent Catholics who are very much not the best people. But anyways, that's all to say. I got to focus on me and my sin, right? Because I would say there's probably so many more Catholics that are much more deserving of heaven than I'll ever be. We need to have, let's see, a Roman discussion on John Longbox's channel with Joker on the panel. That'd be cool. I would be up for that. John grew up Catholic, not religious now, but I went back. I'll probably go back to the RCC. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that. I know on Long Island there are Orthodox parishes. I would recommend you visiting. Just on like a Saturday night, go to a Vesper service or go to a Divine Liturgy Sunday morning, just to see it. Because for me, well, not for me, but the one I've realized is that the purpose in life is theosis. Your soul is longing for this reunification with God. And it's something that every human is going to feel. But this fallen world, and of course the devil and these demonic forces, are really good at convincing you that this longing, this feeling that you have, is really something else. So people go to, gluttoning themselves with, processed food, or using, the pornography to satisfy the flesh, or even worse, you're using like Tinder and all these hookup apps that fornicate with people, and you think at the end of the day it's going to give you satisfaction, but nothing that will satisfy your soul like Christ can. And again, your soul exists. It's very important. It has to be nourished like your body, or you're not going to be as well-rounded as a person as you think you could be. And of course, I'm just on the beginning of this journey, man. And it's hard for me to even like be in this mindset. But anyways, that's my little rant there. But anyway, guys, I'm so sorry I didn't talk about Rippaverse comics as much as I should. This is one of the reasons why I love doing these live streams, is because it's just talking about all of those all these random things. Because I start the topic and then we just talk about random things. And like I said, I do have Saints and Sinners here. I haven't read it, so that's the kind of like why I'm in this limbo of like, I want to talk about it, but I haven't read it because I just got it like coming back home, so I can't do that. But anyways, it's 8 o'clock. If I'm going to get any chance of getting this review out today, I think I'm going to have to end the live stream. So if there's anything else you guys want to talk about, do it now for however hold your peace until next week. See, John does a show on theology. You are welcome to come on. I'm not sure if I want to talk about theology publicly in the coming weeks. So I'm not sure if it's something I would do now, but I mean, I'd love to just, I don't know, it'd be nice to talk about that. But I'd love to do like one on Roman history. That'd be one I'd love to do, because I'm very comfortable talking about that. But like I said, when I become a catechumen during the catechesis, I want to like withdraw from talking about that until I become catechized, and then I will seek the blessing of my spiritual father. God willing, I'll get one to talk about theology online. Roman history, sure. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's what. Is that what you meant? But anyways, I'd be 100% for that. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me. Pop culture, politics, religion, it's all connected. I 100% agree. And 100%, yes, I'm forgetting my Roman history. I'm not the best with Roman history. Like there's stuff I know a lot about, and then there's so many gaps because there's just so much. So I gotta study up more. But anyways, I think I am going to end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. You guys stay blessed. You guys have a good weekend, and yeah, stay tuned for the Saints and Sinners review, because it's going to be coming out soon. Let's see, I have a degree and I can't remember anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's typically how it works. You forget so much you learn in school. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to end it here, guys. I'm really hoping you guys enjoy this one. Hopefully next week's live stream, I'll have like, I'll keep it on Rippaverse topic, but I think you guys, I don't know, I think you guys just enjoy this being like me just talking about whatever. And it's just nice to have a stream of consciousness, because it's very soothing to just talk and talk. And then you guys will have a reason to tune in and enjoy, which I'll always be very appreciative of. But that is all I have for this week's episode of Braxcast Live. So Joker is out.